Hello and welcome to the Bear Right Trail podcast here tonight or today, whatever it is where you are. Coming at you for a great episode just with Chris and myself here tonight, and excited to talk about some dumbass stuff here with East Coast trail running. Of course, this is the place to talk East Coast trail running and racing. Chris,
Yes.
how are you feeling? How are you feeling in this wintry weather on the
I'm
East
feeling
Coast?
good, man. Got the bulk of the 2 inches of snow removed. Kids are back in school. It's chilly, but I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Excited to kick this one off. This will be fun to sort of spitball some things here and just chat about some of our personal likes and dislikes, and hopefully get some takes, maybe some feedback from some listeners. Excited to
We're going to get some feedback eventually.
Eventually we will.
Eventually, yeah. It's coming. I feel it. I might just have to give us some myself.
All right, man. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I apologize to everybody who's been emailing me that I haven't gotten back to. I will get to it. It's just
pages.
There's like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, so I bet there's a lot out there. Yeah.
We'll get there. Yeah. So tonight's episode is today's episode. I have no idea what I'm supposed to say.
It's all good.
This is going to be an episode of our favorite. It's like our Oprah's favorite things episode. But we're going to call it our likes and loathes, our what's in, what's out in 2025, and then we're just going to get into how does anybody plan a trail season these days? We don't really know. We're going to throw some things out there. We're hoping that somebody will tell
someone's got to tell us. Anybody, somebody. Yeah, cool.
I do have to mention before we get into this, something I listened to the Swap podcast earlier today on my drive up to Jersey City, and something got mentioned on the Swap podcast that I was like, hold on a second. I know of another trail running podcast that started talking about Wawa in a recent episode.
Whoa. And
all of a sudden, Wawa's dropped on the Some Work All Play podcast. And I'm like, does this mean they're listening because look, they've never mentioned Wawa before.
It must mean that. It must mean
I
that.
think so.
It must mean that. I'll have to check that out. I saw I saw it drop today as I'm a subscriber of the.
This is last week.
This is last week. Okay. Well, okay. So I didn't listen to that one either. Yeah, so I guess I got some catching up to do then.
Pretty sure anyway. I have no idea. It was they recorded it before they had the baby. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. So
I'd like to think that in some crazy universe, our two worlds, collide with the Bear Right and the Swap Pod. Maybe someday we can dream.
Something got it front of mind with them that there was some Wawa discussion there, and I was like, I think I know where this came from.
Yeah, me too. I don't think there's any other.
I'm sticking to that
story. I like it. Let's stick there. Let's stick there. Leave that line. Let's get into this, man. Some likes and loads. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Let's start off with nutrition.
Okay.
Let's start off with nutrition. Boy. So I'm going to go and just give one of my big likes in nutrition this year. And that is going to be...
Oh, hold on, Sam. Can I take a guess of what it might not be?
There's a lot of things it's not going to be. So that is a pretty easy guess. Where you want to go?
The spring awesome sauce, I'm assuming you probably are not going to say.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to say that. But you know what? That's not my loathe either.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I took the floor away from you, so go ahead.
All right. So this is going to be my favorite gel delivery system.
Oh, cool.
And that's the most important part of any gel, in my opinion, is how it gets into your gullet, right? And that is the Morton gel delivery system, in which the entire top of the gel just rips right off, and you can take that whole thing down in just one big gulp. And that is that's my like, is the Morton gel delivery system.
That's a good one.
Which would lead right into my nutrition loathe, and that is the precision nutrition delivery system, which I think is meant to be overly precise, and you can get yourself 1 gram of gel at a time out of one of those things. I think the hole is the size of a pig.
Yeah.
You just have to. I don't know what the hell's going on with those things, but for how much we pay for these things, just have the top rip off. I don't know why these gel companies are overcomplicating things. Just
dude, that's
have the top.
We've
rip
actually
off.
never talked. We've never had that conversation, but I've been like, that's been one of my loathes actually for a while. And I'll get into this a little bit later with like I like a trail short, like a race short specifically with built-in like waist like strap.
Oh
pack.
yeah.
So I'm still rocking like the North Face Better Than Naked shorts. I love them, the 2-in-1s. I think they're awesome. And there came a point, and I forget what race it was when I was using spring. And there's some spring I would still use. We're taking a little bit of a detour here, but I'll wrap it back around here in a second. But those shorts are so nice. They have like really individual designated spots, smaller spots. And when I was using the spring, the springs fit in there nicely. I would actually because it was so hard to rip in the middle of a race, I would actually start with a scissors. So I would like snip the top of it a little bit. So in the race, I could just rip it easily, because it's so frustrating, especially like in a shorter race where you're like, if you're really, in a spot where, man, like you gotta breathe, like you don't have time.
Yeah.
You don't have time to like fumble around with these things. That's been my one of my loads too for a while. So I'm right there with you. I'll let you get back to it. Do you want to do a like first, and then I'll go to another load?
Well,
or?
I mean, my like was just that Morton has it right.
Gotcha.
They haven't
Okay.
overdone it. I mean, I'm fine with a goo.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
There's are good. I think it's all precision is definitely the worst that I've experienced, but I think I feel like I wish the opening was bigger on like the science and sport ones. I had that same problem with Spring Energy, the ones that try to keep the tab connected, which I know why they're doing that. It's like so you don't toss it away. But come on, like you can't store that. Like if you can't deal with that, I don't know. Like you got to be able to deal with those things and store those tabs. The fact that I can't get the stuff down, that really rubs me the wrong way.
It is frustrating. But so what? Yeah, so what about actual what about each one of those that you mentioned, the precision, the science and sport, and the Morton, which was your favorite, as far as ease to ingest, right? To get into and down the gullet, as you mentioned. What about what would be your favorite as far as keeping down gut, GI? Do you have one? Forget about how easy or difficult it is to open. Once it's in you, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think it's still Morton.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that is the thing I'm having the most success with right now. I've had decent success with most of the gels. This is mostly just the delivery system that I just would struggle with so much, and I just want something to go down, like to start going down easy. Like I feel like when you have to labor and stress over it, my cortisol levels are going through the roof. I just can't even deal with it, or like I'm tripping over stuff. Like I'm serious. Like when I would say that these more difficult gels to take, the ones that you can't get out of the package, I will spend, a minute trying to deal with the thing or more. And I'm, struggling, just trying to get the stuff out. And then another one, you just, and it's done. So don't be cute about it. All you nutrition companies that are listening right now, just have the top rip off and let us get it down. Get it done.
Yeah. Love it. All right. Should we move on to some?
Yeah. How about to hydration?
Hydration.
What are you liking with hydration this year? What do you hate?
I'm pretty rudimentary with my nutrition. Like I'm geared towards like the 50Ks. It's sort of my, would be my sweet spot. That's what I've run the most. So again, I'm speaking on 31 miles, give or take. But the Tailwind has always been my go-to. It's just always sat well. It's not too sweet, not too flavorful, but enough where it's just easy to go down. It sits well with me. So that's pretty much what I'm going to stick with. I don't have any other reason not to. So I love the Tailwind. How about you, Sam?
So with regards to Tailwind, I'm going to come in with my loathe with Tailwind, and my loathe with Tailwind is cola flavored Tailwind.
I don't mess with the cola. I don't mess with the
every,
cola.
Like every company that's making a cola flavor, just stop. It's already made. It's called Coca-Cola, and nobody needs to make a different one. Like I don't need cola flavored Tailwind. Coke's doing it cheaper and better, and I just don't need it because it doesn't taste as good. I need a flavor that I don't associate very specifically with something else. It's got to be something a little off, like
the Mandarin Orange.
The
Mandarin Orange
or salted fig. I don't care, just like
there's
something
an idea.
I don't know really what it's supposed to taste like, so it's like, that's salted
good
fig.
Enough.
So just maybe, going that way. But so on my hydration end of things, I don't know if this is really hydration, but Red Bull. I love Red Bull.
They mentioned that before.
I talk about something that's going to turn your day around.
Yeah.
Oh, just love it.
Is there like a point in the race that do you plan before a race when you're going to take it, or do you have it there in case you feel a certain way?
Yeah, I would say somewhere, it's got to be after DK into something for sure.
Yeah.
But I want to say like depending on when you need it. But I mean, I'll start. It's just better than any other caffeine. It's like a rocket fuel. So if I have access to Red Bull in a race, I'm
nice,
happy.
Man. Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, get into gear here.
Yeah, get into gear. You want to start with the feet?
Yeah, let's start with the feet. I got a bone to pick.
I have a feeling we're going to be on opposite sides.
Yeah, I
here.
I got a bone to pick with this one. You know exactly where I'm going, and I'm literally staring at them. They're staring back at me right now. They're shiny. They've only been used for like 20 miles. They're for sale. I might pay someone to pick them up. If you come.
Yeah, you might not want to. You might not want to. Shit on them too much.
No, it's all me. I know that. I'm being silly, but the Tectons are. I just can't do
this
them.
Is the
man.
X2,
the X2s,
right?
yeah. And I know, Sam, you've had success. I know Brian loves them. I know Rob really enjoys them. I know they're one of the probably top selling. I mean the line in general, probably one of the top selling super trail shoes, probably the top sellers if you combine sales through 1 through 3. I just don't feel right in them. I trip in them. I don't feel stable, and again, that is certainly due in part to probably stability training, but I just can't get used to them. The plate is just a little bit too stiff, the carbon plate, and really screwed up my ankle with those this fall. But it's that's I don't know, learning experience. Is that what I call that? But and in all honesty, I'll go back to them. I will go back to them. I don't know if I'll ever go back to them in a technical race, but I'll certainly go back to them. But I just can't seem to figure it out. And maybe there's something, there's some of the super shoes that don't have the plates there's some other synthetic materials that, some companies are now, getting into. And I know some of the super shoes just have a certain, foam without the plate. So maybe I'll investigate something like that. But it's just something that I might forego. Who knows? And I got a size 10.5 for sale here if anybody's looking. So there you go.
I'm sure there's some out there. So
gently used.
So what's your favorite shoe?
Dude, I have been sort of circling through. I have a pair of the Ultra, and I actually don't know exactly what they're called, to be honest. It's the Ultra Forward Experience. Over the past couple of years, they came out with a 4mm drop shoe, which I love for the roads. My favorite road shoe, bar none. I like everything about them. they came out with the trail shoe, which is in sort of that same vein, same setup, 4 millimeter drop. They are like on the heavier side, maybe a speed goat type weight. I think the lugs are great. I feel great in them. I've raced in them. I train in them. So I think the ultras are probably my favorite. I mean, Steady Eddies, the speed goats. I would say, but messed around with some Scots and some other shoes on the trails, some quicker, lighter trail shoes. But yeah, those ultras and the speed goats, I would say are my two mainstays. So, what about you, Sam? I mean, I think I know what you're gonna say, but
maybe I'll stick to the road here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So my loathe was the Saucony Triumph, the most recent Saucony Triumph. Just really terrible for my feet. Way too much shoe, way too much cushion and squash for me on the road.
Okay.
Just absolutely just. I mean, I very rarely returned those. For me, I just thought they were terrible. Yeah. On the other side, a shoe that I absolutely love on the road and probably gives something away about me, that these shoes aren't even in the same department of discussion. Yeah. The Brooks Hyperion 2, just an absolute rocket, fun shoe. I was like giggling the first time I put this shoe on. Just loved running in it, and it's the shoe I want to put on when I go on the roads. I really like that. And no secret here, I love the Hoka Tectonics too. I think I'm on my third pair of X2s now. I have a fourth pair in reserve ready to go when this pair goes, but I still have all four pairs. Like, they're not going anywhere. Absolutely. I love the shoe. We're in different camps here. I feel like that shoe will do just anything I want it to do. Yeah. I like it in technical terrain, especially once it's broken in. I think my guess is that's one of the issues that you're having. Yeah. A fresh Tecton X can push you around a little bit. But once those shoes are broken in, like, I'm so confident over just about everything in them. So yeah, that's my deviation from your thought patterns.
All good.
I recommend it to everybody.
We've had many of discussion and debate. But you know what? You learn, you live. I'm just not living with a bum ankle, but whatever.
Well, you started mentioning some gear there earlier on. You mentioned the shorts that you really like. Yeah, I think we can definitely get into some big likes here on gear. Do you want to start into those?
Yeah, race setup. My race setup's not. We're no elite. No elite runner here, so my race setup's pretty much the same as my training setup. But I would say I'll just sort of rip through my favorites real quick, real brief. On my feet, socks. I actually really like the Bombas running socks. Okay. I think they fit well. The one thing I love about those socks is they stay up. Like the crew socks. Is it the crew that goes up to like right below the? Is that what they call them? Whatever that is, like right below the calf.
Are you talking about like a
style, like the style?
I don't know. Like it comes up a little way, like just below the calf.
Yeah,
is that what you mean? Like comes up, covers Correct. The full Achilles, just below the calf. Whatever that's called. Yeah,
I like them because they stay up. So yeah, I mean, I've my God, how many different types of socks I have in the, running sock drawer. Like, it's insane. But I'd say the Bombas is what I generally run in. I'll race in them. Shorts. I still, my favorite are the North Face Better Than Nakeds. I think there's almost nothing like them out there. Racing in them is awesome. Again, like the waist belt I mentioned earlier, they're so comfortable. They're so light. So I'll choose those for sure, almost pretty much over anything. Shirt, any one of the Rabbit, running, short. Hat's got to be one of the, either like a North Face, one of the Sprints hats, which I think are fun. They're lightweight, good in the summer. And then I've really been impressed with the Gooder sunglasses. They're light. They really hug your face. And the one thing I love about the Gooders is I started racing in them a couple years ago. Like, I never ever used to race in glasses because I'm like, well, it's going to fall off your head, your face. They never fall off. So I'll just tuck them on top of my hat until I need them. And like, I might only wear them for I don't know, a very short fraction of a race, but they stay there. So just sort of that's a small sort of snippet of what my go-tos would be for training, for racing, at least in the summer months. So,
Do you have any gear fails recently?
fails. I the only thing, and this would happen to any short, any pair of running shorts. I had been like they were like my holy grail running shorts, the Better Than Nakeds. I am now down to one because the other pair was ripped on a gate in Tyler Arboretum when Sam decided to take the trail that nobody uses anymore. No, I'm just kidding, but I still run in those too. But
You mean no one's allowed to
no
use?
one's allowed to use. Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's why no one uses it anymore, right? Because no one's allowed. Some weird rule. I don't think I really have any loads. I'm pretty like rudimentary in my gear, other than like, socks and shoes. But like, if it fits good, the only thing I will say is pretty much any New Balance running shirt, just I'm not terribly impressed with. So with the exception of like a New Balance, the shirts at least, I'm good with pretty much whatever you throw at me. Pretty much good. So
all right, yeah.
So what's your rundown here, Sam?
Okay, so I'll start down at the bottom as well on socks. Really, really love Smart Wool socks. I have a cold weather sock right now that I'm enjoying, and I ran all of Hellgate in that sock, not a single blister. I wore Smart Wool socks for Grindstone 100 miler, no blisters. Those socks, because of the conditions, like disintegrated during the race. Hey, no blisters. So very, very happy with their socks. Their stuff is expensive, so I only have a few choice items, but really, really like my Smart Wool socks. Love the crew. Always like to have like just a little bit more coverage up the Achilles, especially getting older here. I'm not too specific on the shorts end of things. I have not found a short that I'm completely happy with. I want to say a dislike I have is the liner on my rabbit shorts. I found like it just completely loosened up. So I'm basically, for the lack of a better term, free balling it every time I wear those. I ran a cross country race with our good buddy Rob, and I was wearing those, and I mean, this is like with college students and stuff like that, and I was like just having to,
old guy,
just like pull things around. Like this guy's old balls running around. Oh god, it was gross. So little problems with the rabbit liners. So
nice.
for I'm a fan of the compression shorts for that reason. I just keep everything all together.
Note to self for next year. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I really like my, like, they're not really compression shorts, but they're like, just short tights, ones that have little pockets on the sides and stuff like that. You can store a little nutrition in there, store your keys, whatever you need to. I don't run with a phone or anything like that, but I know some people will throw stuff like that in there. So like kind of moving up, really am enjoying running with waist packs as much as I can. I like to store things in there, pack a little TP, pack a little, whatever you need to, a little bit of nutrition. You can, put a soft flask in one of those. I find for most things, I don't like running with a vest anymore. I'll run with one of those most of the time.
What type of waist pack are you running? What brand?
I have the Solomon Pulse.
Okay.
I don't know that that's like the best one out there. Most people swear by the Naked Belt, which is probably what I would have got if it was like available when I needed to get one quickly. But instead I have the Pulse, which it's okay. It's not the best, but I think it does a good job. So it's not on either end of those things. I got to agree with you on the Gooders. I think it's, you can't go wrong with them. Sometimes I think they've sorted this out. The I don't know, the coating on those, that it was always getting scratched up and everybody hated. I think that's starting to get sorted out. So I feel like the last two pairs I got, I didn't
Yeah.
have that issue with.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
They're nice
Um,
too because they're like, if you're looking for a pair of sunglasses to like bum around, to wear like everyday driving, to have for years, Gooder might not be that pair. But if you want a relatively inexpensive pair of sunglasses that's light, that hugs your face, that will stay, for me at least, stay on my face, stay on my head when I'm running, I
yeah.
think like you can't really go wrong with a pair of Gooders.
Yeah. The lack of bounce,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just like the general comfort on them
Yeah.
is really it's
Mm-hmm.
solid, and you're not going in for a strong investment.
Yeah.
I'm with you
Yeah.
100% there. Gooder's the way to go.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I mean, I love up top
Mm-hmm.
too. Patagonia Houdini shell is a great thing to
Yeah.
have in your quiver,
Yeah.
as they
Yeah.
say. And also, one last thing, really love, this is on the smart wool kick
Mm.
again, but here in the winter weather, I got a pair of the merino wool running gloves that have the little
Yeah.
like mitt
Yeah.
shell that comes out. It's just great. It's like having two different pairs of
Yeah.
gloves. And I feel like the temperature regulation when you have they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Like my hands don't get super
Mm-hmm.
hot. Let's say you wear like a fleece glove or something like that. Your hands are going to boil in those things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I need to invest in something like
yeah.
that. That's a good point. The merino wool's good in the heat, or good in the cold for sure. Just to like you said, to regulate
Yeah.
the temperature. Good stuff. All right. Well, should we move on to topic number 2? Or did
No, we're still here on likes and lows.
Oh, we are?
Man.
Okay.
So we're going
Cool.
deep. We're getting some
All right.
deep cuts
Okay.
here. So
what's next here?
Yeah, these might start to get a little personal. Let's move on to favorite and least liked trails.
Sweet. Okay. Okay. So just to further break this down and sort of qualify the topic, are we talking about, like, for instance, the Blue Trail at Ridley Creek? Or are we talking about Ridley Creek State Park in general? Are we talking about, like, how specific do you want to get?
I think let's go. Yeah, like basically like your favorite place to
Okay.
run, or maybe like just the worst running memory from 2024.
Okay. One of my favorite places to run, one of my favorite places to race, and maybe it's more nostalgic than anything, is Blue Marsh. I love running at Blue Marsh. And again, this is like, this is at least for us within driving distance, like a day drive. You can get up there in the morning. It's an hour and 10 minutes away. You can get up, you can put in a solid run, and you can come home. Some of the other spots that, I love to get up to when I can, again, within driving distance, French Creek, always so much fun to run at French Creek. The little sort of, I think maybe more under the radar, if you will, would be Nolde Forest. I love running Nolde. Again, more of a nostalgic place. Grew up going there. Like a vast place, but fun trails, a lot of elevation, can get some pretty technical climbing. So I would say within driving distance, those. And then you sort of start to get into some of the central PA trails, which I don't know as much. Just racing out there, of course, to have one of those, in your backyard would be fantastic. But then some of the local trails, I mean, I can't complain. I like Ridley, I like Valley Forge. I would say just driving distance wise, like close is, would be Ridley. Why? What?
Well, I asked you for your favorite
And
trail,
I
and you
said
just gave
10.
me a listing of all the state
I
parks
did.
in eastern
I
Pennsylvania.
did. But is there one you don't like though? Which one would you pull out? You're asking me to pick. No, Sam, did you say my favorite, or were you asking for a list? I don't remember at this point. All right.
So, do you have a least favorite trail, or that just doesn't exist for you?
Probably
if you're on
doesn't,
a trail,
dude.
it's your
Yeah,
favorite
it
trail.
probably doesn't. I mean, like, there's some small trails out there. I'll give you my favorite. My favorite would probably be Blue Marsh. I think you get a little bit of everything.
Well, that's what you started
Yeah.
with. That's what
So
you
we'll
started
start
with.
there.
So that
We'll end there.
we'll go
Yeah,
there.
maybe you can edit out the last 7 minutes if you want.
Oh, that was great. So my absolute favorite, I think, just has to be South Mountain Reservation in Millburn, New Jersey. I just have fun every time I'm running there. It's the running isn't like particularly challenging. It's not like the biggest vert. I'm not getting views and all this kind of stuff, but there's just so many fun ripping trails there. Just good fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's just great. And it's a joy. Every time I'm there. So it's a little hidden gem.
Cool.
I think that I want to take people there. I want to run races there. I want to do all kinds of things there. I just love it. My absolute least favorite section of trail running has to be the second half of World's End 100K. Whatever that BS is just atrocious. I don't even know how they call it a trail. There's some sections that I guess have redeeming qualities where you're running to a creek or find a view, but most of it's just what I call just bullshit.
What don't you like about it?
I don't know. I just don't even know who, like what people were thinking when they were setting the trail. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm sure going to make some enemies with that one. But, the first half of the course, I think it is great. And it's a great race. So I'm not pooping on World's End 100K as a race, but that back half of that race, I just
don't like it.
I found it
That's
terrible.
okay. That's okay. I mean, you would opt for a more runnable sort of cruiser elevation, maybe some technical.
It doesn't have to be cruiser. And technicality I have no problem with. It's just I like a trail to be a little bit more defined.
Gotcha.
It's they're so low on travel, and then they just kind of, I don't know, they just didn't seem to have much intention in how they were laid out, as far as like where it's going. It's like, why is it going this way? It doesn't really have any reason when you're supposed to be heading in this direction. I'm like, it just is like somebody was just marking trees and just walking around. Is how it felt.
Just got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. So anyway, that was okay. And just anyway, I might have just been in a bad place. I'd raced the day before. I was like 50 miles into my weekend crewing. For
that's
Josh.
right. Yeah.
So
it might.
I was probably just in a bad mood.
Headspace might not have been. Yeah. Yeah, you could have been at any trail in the world, and you probably would have felt the same way. Who knows? Maybe not. Anyway.
Yeah. Who knows? All right. So that gets us to favorite things and least favorite things about, like running partners and, your running network. This is where it might get a little personal.
Yeah. I would say boy, this is tough, man. This is tough. Do you want to kick this one off? I gotta think of a good one here. I gotta think of a good one.
All right. So I want to say the thing I like. So the thing I really like about our running community and group is that we're kind of growing up together in a way, like not growing up from kids, but growing up as adults, kind of going through this early midlife thing together. And so it's a wonderful type of a community to have where you have support with other parents and, people having these, some kind of silly, stupid goals. And, it's good to have people to share that with, not your spouse, because they don't care. And so it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. I wish it was easier to find people to run with during, 2:00 in the afternoon on a weekday. I don't know what people are doing that I can't get anybody to run with me at these times.
It's crazy, right?
So that's my biggest beef.
All right. Well, that's good. You kept that pretty PC. Are you you just sort of dropped the bomb here on me? Now I have to say something controversial, polarizing. Well, I would definitely agree with the sentiment. Our group it's fun to meet up and to share some trail therapy at times, and yeah, it sort of bounce back, go back and forth, whether it's an injury or whether it's a goal or just helping each other out in any way, whatever that may be. Loathe, man, maybe it's when I I don't. You look like you might have one.
I do have
Okay.
one. I've got another
Okay.
one. Do you want me to bring this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
up?
yeah. Sounds like it might be
Well,
personal.
well,
Hmm.
this is a little bit
Okay.
personal. Anytime Ryan
Hmm.
Bear takes the lead on a group run,
On a hill.
well, just
Yeah.
yeah, in general, because you know what's going to
Yeah.
happen on the
You're gonna.
next
Yeah.
hill.
You're gonna take off. Yeah. See, Sam, I feel like though. I feel like sometimes I feel like sometimes you do that too, though. Right?
I was hoping that might
Yeah,
happen. I was hoping you might
I
call
have,
me out.
like I know, like I would say in terms of, and this is getting like a little inside-ish, but let's set the picture here a little bit. In terms of the running group and Brian and I, right? Brian Weiss and I would usually hang in the back, and Sam will always gravitate to the front, right? So
I straight to the
straight to
front,
the front.
straight to the front every time.
And we know if Sam's feeling good, the pace is going to pick up a little bit, right? So I don't think that's a beef. I don't know. I don't really have any real beefs. It's funny. It's fun to kid around, but yeah, maybe just finding people to if I could get on the trails with somebody every day, I'd be a happy person, happier person. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, you always got to feel out and see who's feeling spry and try to keep them
Yeah.
towards the back for most
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
run. Any group run is
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly.
Don't let the spry person, well rested, well trained
Yeah.
person take the lead.
Yeah.
Over.
Exactly. No. Not a good idea. Alrighty.
All right, I guess that's sort of we don't need to get into like and dislike races
No.
here. I think that we'll leave that.
Yeah.
So what's in, what's out
Yeah.
for 2025 for us here? I'm gonna start with one here that is in for me. I feel like this has been like a big debate in running circles for a long time, and that's stretching.
Ooh, it's polarizing. Polarizing one.
So yeah,
Yeah.
stretching is in for me here after turning 43. And I feel like all the people who have been saying like, oh, you know what, you don't want to get too flexible.
Yeah.
They haven't met a trail
No.
runner.
No. No.
There's there's probably like 3 trail runners out there who are too flexible, like in the entire, and I ain't one of them.
No.
And neither is anybody that
Nope.
I know.
No.
So yeah,
Okay.
stretching is in for me for 2025.
All right. Well, mobility for sure. I mean, I think you knew that was coming. I think I've always been pretty keyed into strength training. I would like to increase that certainly, but mobility, anything below the knee, frankly, I just really hadn't, or maybe below the calf, if that makes sense. So the mobility in the ankles,
Toe lifts.
toe lifts, exactly, That's it. No, but
I'm gonna get you a little toe dumbbells.
I probably need them, frankly. I probably need them. And honestly, I'm sitting next to like my massage gun right here, and I just don't use it enough. So I need to work on like taking care of myself, stretching, recovery, limbering up, mobility before the runs. And I just for years, I didn't care because I wasn't getting injured. And then you get older and you start to get injured. And then you stay injured. And then those things linger. And sort of to piggyback off of what you had mentioned, stretching, I need to stretch. I don't think that it's not by coincidence that you start to stretch. At least this happens, I certainly experienced this. You start stretching, maybe you go on like a few, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe it's a month, maybe it's like a summer. And you're like, man, I really you had time, or you made time to stretch. You feel better. And some of those little niggles start to go away. And then the fall hits, and then, your schedules start to, ramp back up, and I don't really need to stretch after this run. That, one run into two runs into like you're not really stretching at all, and then those niggles come back. And so I think probably gonna piggyback off of you and then also add some of the mobility stuff because yeah, you get older and those things are highlighted. So
Yeah, so I guess, this is something we can kind of take a little diversion on here for a
yeah.
second. Is so how do we keep that a priority? Because a lot of people will be running like have training plans either from a coach or that they prescribe for
Yeah.
themselves. They have their mileage and things like that they want to hit, and so how do we prioritize that extra 30 minutes,
Yeah.
let's say, before the run to do some stretching, mobility, little, activating strength routine in order to do that when you're thinking, hey, you know what? I need 2 hours for this
Yeah.
run. But really what you need is 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Or that run becomes an hour and a half run.
I think that's key.
That type of thing.
I think that's key. I was actually thinking that today. And Sam, I talked about this before the pod. It's like, one injury's healing and another sort of springs up. And I think I need to reset my mindset, at least. What's more important? Like, you have jobs, spouse, kids, you have a family, you're taking care of whatever is going on with, the house or whatever. There's a lot of things in our lives.
But the most important thing is mobility.
Most important thing is mobility. For me, it is. Yes. Priority number one. No, but seriously, like when you break it down, in all honesty, when you break it down, it's like that mindset, that mindset of I have 2 hours to run and I want to keep that 2 hours. I want to run for those 2 hours. I want to fill those 2 hours up running. Well, instead of trying to push other priorities aside to add the extra maybe 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, sometimes that run's going to get cut down to an hour and a half. And I think that's more important than just going into it, than trying to get those extra miles. And for me, I'm sure for anybody, for any runner, right? Or for most runners, that's hard. For me, that is incredibly difficult and something that I have to really keep top of mind.
Yeah, and I think the time that it's really tough is when maybe all you have is 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, am I going to do 30 minutes of, stretching, activations, mobility, and then run for 15 minutes? Is that what I'm going to run for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Or just like, you know what? No, I'm just going to do 15 minutes of strength work after that, and that's it for today. How we're prioritizing that stuff. So I think it's an important discussion to have. We're both clearly experts on this. And are giving out our professional
exactly
advice.
Something like that, right?
So do you have anything that's in for you from like a nutrition standpoint or out for you this year?
Not really. Again, I'm pretty rudimentary. I don't really have any problems with GI issues generally. So I'm just going to keep trucking along with the gels and at least for the, shorter stuff, the gels and the maybe if it's any solid food, maybe banana and tailwind and I think that's it.
Anything bigger picture though, like from a nutritional standpoint?
So I think depending on the length of the race, the output, some of the higher carb stuff is interesting to me. And so maybe play around with increasing the carb intake and we'll see. Maybe that. I mean, there's all sorts of, like the bicarb craze and the ketone craze. Maybe as we get older, right, it's probably worth looking into. But for whatever reason, I would rather consume, like, let's just say if I'm going to listen to a podcast, I would rather consume, a pod that's, maybe based around maybe just training or maybe it's, interviewing an athlete or maybe it's, mentality. I would say like that sort of second level nutrition is just not something I'm that interested in. And maybe it should be. I just don't geek out over it. And nutrition so far, I think is working for me. Right. So no, I guess not really. maybe some higher carb stuff. But what
Yeah.
about you?
Well, when I was mentioning big picture, I
Mm,
was sort of thinking in a different
mm,
direction. More so, like I think my sort of whole
mm.
nutrition thoughts are that I'm going to try to move my eating
Oh.
into just like just more whole
Mhm.
foods, not Whole Foods Market. That's too expensive, but just more whole
Mhm,
grains, more just a higher amount of
mhm.
vegetables and things along those
Okay.
lines. Keeping my proteins more
Mhm,
lean, more in the fish
mhm.
department and
All
things
right.
like that, and trying to have more balance throughout the day. I tend to like really get big
Mhm,
meals. Like sometimes like my eating will get like, I don't know, like isolated in one part of the
mhm.
day. Like that'll like really, I don't know,
Yeah.
uh like I'll not be eating much for
Yeah.
breakfast or something
Yeah.
along those lines for a long period of
Yeah.
time, and like I'll just be eating big
Yeah.
lunches and or really having to snack late into the
Yeah.
night and stuff like that
Gotcha.
and stuff like that to like
Okay.
to fill up my nutrition for the day.
All right.
So trying to have less processed
Uh-huh.
foods, more whole foods. Clearly I'm still gonna use processed foods for racing
Hmm.
and things like that, but trying to do more and more of that.
Okay, good.
Clean up my gut health and all those kinds of
There you go.
things.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Um, so let's see, how much more do we got here for
Mhm.
topics? Any yeah. So for 2025, any trends you expect to be, getting into or moving away
Yeah,
from?
no, I mean, I think in general, I think at least ultra running as a whole, you're going to see that the nutrition I think is going to be a point of emphasis for for elite runners, probably a point of contention, right, as well. But yeah, not necessarily for me. Not necessarily for me. Again, I think everything's working. I think I'm gonna pretty much stick with what I've been doing. I do agree. I think there's probably some room to clean up my diet just in general on a like day-to-day aspect as well. So that's something that that I think we're sort of always, we meaning my wife and kids. But nothing in particular. Nothing in particular. How about
Yeah.
you? Other than the diet, the
Yeah,
daily
I mean,
diet.
other trends, yeah, that I don't know. These are, I don't know what this is, a 2020.
Yeah, you did
Why
it
do I keep
again.
saying that? I'm not sure if this is a
Uh-huh.
2025
Yeah.
prediction of the way trends are going to be
Yeah.
moving, but maybe it's just like a
Hmm.
hopeful
Well.
thing. Um, I feel like sub ultra racing and maybe even looped racing
Yeah.
is going to start to get to the forefront.
Yeah.
That we're going to see this moving more into the spectator sport
Oh yeah.
type
Okay.
arena. And that so you're going to see more ski resort
Hmm.
races and things like that where you can have actual, live view cheering
Mm.
on kind of stuff in a more heightened way, almost like criterium bike
Okay.
racing type feel. And so it's like, I don't know, maybe an intersection of like track and trail.
Okay.
I feel like something like that is coming. Maybe not 2025,
Well,
but
that makes
is
sense.
is
I
coming.
mean, the Cirque Series races. I don't know if that's sort of what you had in mind. I don't know if, but
Well, maybe that sort of distance,
yeah.
but the idea that that you could loop it,
Mm-hmm.
I think is something that could be interesting
Yeah.
because I do think that there's a big gap in people being able to interact with the racing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'm kind of hoping
Hmm.
for selfishly is this is, I don't know why I think that this could
Yeah.
happen, but I'd love to see an intersection of parkour and trail running,
No,
right?
wait, like
So maybe
obstacle
like
course
trail
running.
running. No, well, like parkour is
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
urban sort of
Dude, who?
like running, and experiencing the
Yeah.
urban environment
Yeah.
like as an art
Yeah.
form. So like I almost like to think of this like maybe trail
Who
parkour
who who who
type
in the sport, like
mashup.
what elite trail runner would you like who out there would, because I feel like there's, I
I
mean,
don't
dude,
know.
there's a lot of like ultra runners that they're elite.
I'm not talking about ultra.
Oh,
I'm not
but
talking about ultra. I'm talking about trail. Yeah.
but trail runners. Like let's take like the Golden Trail series. Like they're amazing runners. I don't know how coordinated they are.
Well, I think a lot of them are very.
You think so? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe
we'll see in the upcoming years. Maybe we'll see.
I think you'd be surprised at the athleticism of a lot of. But I'm not saying that the athletes that we have in the picture like are. I just think that there could be.
No, I know
some sort of like in your sort of carnival type. I don't know. The wheels are turning, man. The wheels are turning. There's some ideas here.
Dude,
and you laugh now.
No.
Wait, like a couple of years, and there's going to be.
I would hope so.
Like Norda's going to have.
Norda would be the
parkour
brand
team.
It would like Norda and like Janji. Like those would be like the two. Like they're like the cutting edge, like sort of indie brands.
Imagine like a Janji, like
man.
Would it be like a members only kind of jacket, but with like the prints and patterns are a little bit. Oh man, yeah. I mean,
it could work, man.
You'd have to like kind of wear it like over the shoulder sort of thing. Oh man, it's cool stuff, man. I'm just saying.
It could happen.
There's a place.
It could happen.
There's a place for us.
All right.
Yeah, you want the weird here.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, the one thing you wanted to get into here, we've got it down at the bottom, is how the hell do we plan a trail season?
Yeah. Crickets. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I try to have some sort of semblance of an idea going into a year, but maybe that's like, for ultra runners that may make more sense. Or I'm sorry, for elite athletes that would make sense. But for,
Well, I think the issue is that there are like a few races, right, that we all really, really want to do, and none of us can do them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's like these very few races. So we have like, I don't know, it's like there aren't really all that many trail runners.
Yeah.
So you've got like, I don't know how many trail runners there are in the U.S. 100,000. I don't no idea. But you have 100,000 trail runners, and you have like 10 races that all these 100,000 trail runners want to do, and there are 1,000 spots.
Yeah.
So the 90,000 rest of us for
I know
for the rest of these races, right? But the thing is that there's like 90,000 other trail races.
Yeah.
So like,
I know there are
that like you don't really want to do, so how do you put together a season of a bunch of races you don't really want to do?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. It's a great question.
I'm kidding.
It's a good question. No, but it is. I know, it's a tongue-in-cheek comment there, but like you do sort of have to think about it. Like if your goal, Sam, is to run Western States, well, like you got to find a race to qualify, right? So that, I would say, I mean, how many years has that one race been the pinnacle, been the race where you structure your entire year around?
But that's my struggle this year, right? Because I've already done my Western States qualifier.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. And so I have all of 2025, 2025, no more 20s in there, to not do a Western States qualifier.
Yeah, now
I can do anything else. Yeah. And so it's just like,
what do you do?
What do I do? Well, maybe I do a hard rock qualifier.
Yeah. Well, so more like getting down to like logistics and training, right? Will you go into a year planning seasons of a year? And by that, I mean, are you looking at how you're training for a race, say maybe the spring? So for me, at least, I'm looking at maybe more mountainous you have to have your climbing leg. Let's get that training in and do a couple races where, those climbing legs, right, will benefit, or you will benefit from having climbing legs, right? And then summer, you can get some, some quicker, faster, training in to then do, a quicker, faster, group of ultras in the fall. Like, how do you look at that? Do you base your year
Oh,
off
yes.
that?
I kind of see what you're saying. So it's like, do you base your season
Mm-hmm.
off of how you'd like to structure your
Correct.
training?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do you structure your training to match the races that you
Yeah.
want to do? So, like, let's say you've got a big
Mm-hmm.
mountainous ultra in
Mm-hmm.
August, like, you're going to have to be hitting the
Yeah.
vert in
Yeah.
July,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's
Yeah.
different. So which way? So I guess it's like, it's a
I was
chicken
gonna
and the
say,
egg
which
type
came
thing. It's
first?
like, do you,
Yeah.
yeah, like, so which do you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say generally I've looked at the races I want to
Mm-hmm.
do and then tried to set my training up for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never tried to set up a season that was like
Yeah.
had some sort of specific build.
Yeah.
It was more just like, I want to do these races, so I'll train
Yeah. In that
try
way.
to
Yeah.
do those
Yeah.
races.
That makes sense. Yeah. It all depends. Like, if I know if I have a couple, let's just say I have like two races that I'm really leaning into, like, as quote unquote A races. I don't really have A races, B races, or C races, like, whatever. Who am I, right? So, but you might have a couple races where you're really concentrating on, like, hey, I want to train. I want to put a training block in, to get to where I need to on race day. I will then try to maybe set up some other races similar to that race, right? As a quote unquote training race. So maybe, again, climbing in whatever this part of the season, and then you have quicker, faster, leg turnover in this part of the season. So, yeah, I don't know. I look at it that way, at least. I try to, and but you just never know too. You just never know. So,
Yeah, I think I would say I'm more of like a bucket lister.
Yeah.
So when I would say that is like, I have these races that I want to do,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to do whatever the training is
Yeah.
for those
Yeah.
races and not worry about necessarily, because they're gonna be when they're gonna
Yeah.
be. Like, I can't have Black Canyon be in July and be able to run in the
Yeah.
heat here, or have
I know. Well, that's interesting too.
And so I can't. Yeah,
That's
so I just
interesting
can't
too.
put these races in places, the
Yeah.
times when I want them to be.
It's interesting
They're
too.
just going to be when they
Yeah.
are.
That's an interesting one. Black Canyon in February, like, that's for northeasters.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's tough, man. So anyway, well, I mean, it's a chicken or the egg sort of deal here. Chicken or the egg sort of deal. So, well,
Yeah, I would encourage people, like, if people are trying to plan their seasons and things like that, I wouldn't get too cute with it. I would just try to find, this is my sage advice of a I've been running trails for 3 or 4 years, is that, like, just choose races that you want to do and train for them. Like, don't worry about having the season follow some nice arc where you did like 25K, 50K, 50 mile, 100K, 100 mile, and like build to it, because it's like, then you're going to end up just doing whatever races fall into that structure. And all these races have so much different stuff to offer.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Some different ways to look at it. Different ways to approach the season.
Yeah. So like, as we're wrapping up here, what kind of, I mean, coming into 2025, what kind of stuff do you want to talk about? Moving forward, are there big subjects that you'd like to get into?
I think it would be fun to have more of the East Coasters on. The interviewing, get guests. That was a lot of fun.
Meet more people.
Yeah, meet more people. I think it's going to be. I know one of our goals, with the pod, is to grow the community. That's really it, right? We want to grow the community. We want to sort of grow the reach, and there's different pockets of groups throughout the East Coast, and if we can bring some people together and Learn about some of the other circles, some of the other running circles, and some of the other races that we just don't know much about. There are a lot of really cool races out there that I don't know much about. So learning more about some of the community members, some of the races, and some of the race directors too.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
What goes into it, because I, for one, take it for granted, man. You show up at a race, and I always make sure to thank the volunteer. But what goes into the soup to nuts planning a race is pretty incredible. With whether it's communication with the park service or what have you, and going out and marking the course, like, you take that for granted too. You're like, oh shit, I haven't seen a ribbon in like 50 yards. What the hell's going on here? It's like, well, yeah, someone had to freaking hang all those ribbons up, So
Yeah.
so talking to some race directors, and I just think, to wrap it sort of back around, just getting the community a little bit tighter. So how about
Yeah,
you?
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that for setting a bit more intention
Mhm.
for our 2025. I really like that. We honestly hadn't really talked too much about
Mhm.
this just yet, but I like the idea of meeting more of the people working these
Mhm.
races, whether it's the RDs, whether it's the volunteers and aid station captains, whether it's the parks department,
Yeah.
and people racing, people trying to get into it, different things, because there are just a lot of different ways for us to work on helping to grow this, and I love
Yeah.
that. Like, so, once again, this is our call out to people. If you want to talk to us, if you want to share your stories, be part of this podcast with us, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have some people lined up, but
Mhm.
can always have more, and your ideas and thoughts are welcome.
Yeah,
So,
Sam, that's a good one too. Is like, for those listening, like, what do you want? What topics do you want us to chat? Like, what do we need to explore? Like, what can we do for the community? Because that's really what it's
yeah.
about. I mean, like,
Do you just want Chris and I shooting the shit,
exactly.
or
Yeah. Do you really want to? Do you want us to bring someone on? Someone on who actually knows what they're talking about. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all good stuff, man. Looking forward to the year, and looking forward to growing this and growing the community, and hopefully getting out there and racing a bunch and meeting new people, man. So,
Yep. Sounds
cool.
good. Well, hopefully get you healed
Yeah, man.
up, get you out for another trail run here pretty
Definitely.
soon. And to everybody else, happy trails, and we'll see you
Sounds
later.
good, man.